currently 30-year fixed rates on a conforming loan are?
They're going to be somewhere around 4.25. Depends on.
So they're a little better than they were a few days ago. They were 4.5, right?
Let's backtrack, because what you have is, when you say rates, and this is a very important thing, you can ask an individual what the rate is.
Right.
The rate could be 4%.
Right.
How much do you want to pay to get that rate?
Right, absolutely.
That's the issue. So you got your 4.25, you got 4.5, maybe 4.5, you get it at a 0-point loan. 4.25, you're going to pay a point.
Right.
1 point is 1% of the loan amount.
Right.
It's not anything secret. So that's where it's at, and the rates are going to depend drastically on your credit score.
Can you talk a little bit about this Dodd-Frank thing? And I know we weren't going to talk a lot about this, but I wanted to talk about this because I did a training yesterday in our office. And one of the things that I told them was, I said, look, you know, Christopher Dodd and Barney Frank, and I'm calling them out, baby. I'm calling them out. But Christopher Dodd and Barney Frank were two of the most vocal critics of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And they literally told Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that they were going to, because of congressional oversight, that they were going to lend specifically to these borrowers that were not borrowing, they weren't buying, right? And they were going to increase home ownership. And by the way, this is not a political thing. This is the Clinton administration started it, and the Bush administration continued it. Okay, and the whole idea was you lend to a higher percentage. And there were big banks like Bank of America that got sued because they didn't lend enough of a percentage to, you know, minorities and to different people, right? So talk a little bit about what's happening now, because they're unwinding Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're getting rid of them after they force them into doing this. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac get into subprime loans. The mortgage crisis happens. They lose $200 billion, and now they're unwinding Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac because they're a failed business model. How is that right?
Well, you know, the whole business of the mortgage business has turned into a compliance business. I mean, it's absolutely oversight after oversight after oversight, things we've never seen before. We've gone from one extreme to absolutely the other, and it's not done yet.
Which is adding time, by the way, to processing time. It's adding time to closings, escrow time.
It's adding costs. It's adding disclosures to, in my opinion, to consumers that are confusing. Where we used to have a one-sheet good faith estimate. Now we have a 3-sheet good faith estimate. Doesn't tell you what your payment is, doesn't tell you, complete payment. And it's hard to, we get all our questions on that, where it used to be very simple. So the oversight of being compliant has really made the process of doing a loan so slow.
So it's gone overboard, basically.
Well, it's gone overboard, and then we have to, check and recheck. We have to verify, re-verify. I mean, we get things, clients going, oh my gosh, I gave you that 3 times. And you're like, well, I know, but now we need it to say A and not B. And so it's frustrating for the borrower.
This is a law, just so we're clear.
It is.
That's authored by two people who helped to create the mortgage crisis by forcing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac into doing what they did.
Absolutely. So
come on.
But the thing is, it's not all bad. It is creating a business where people are getting loans that should get loans. 6-7 years ago, people got loans, didn't necessarily need to get loans.
I'm with you.
And
but that was done.
A whole different,
that was done as a reaction, right?
Absolutely.
To the fact that these people couldn't qualify. So instead of doing what was logical, which was to go out and actually educate these people on how their credit should look and how they could go about qualifying and that type of thing, which you and I have done forever, We've been doing that for a long time, ever since we were 5. Ever since we were 5 when we got started in the business, right? Instead of going out and teaching people about standards and teaching them about how to qualify for a home loan, we went out and loosened the standards. So all they had to do was fog up a mirror and qualify.
Just signed a paper.
Which then created the mortgage crisis. So the same people who helped create the mortgage crisis are the people who are now creating another type of a mortgage crisis in the fact that it is important to have regulation, but there's such a thing as over-regulation, and there's such a thing as strangling regulation. And that's what I think Dodd-Frank is.
Yeah. There's good and bad to every regulation. I mean, it's just the way it is. Take the good with the bad. Overall, it's made the industry better. It's made the mortgage professionals that are there better people.
Well, it's made the mortgage portfolios better.
They're very much doing much better than they used to in the past. I'll tell you that right now. So and along, you're not going to have the same problem that we had a while back with houses going underwater, with people saying I can't make it anymore, because really, most of the people you're getting out there are still 30-year fixed-rate mortgages. Rates are low still, even today. Even at your 4.25%, 4.5%, that's historically very low. So if you don't do it now, I mean, it's kind of crazy not to go out. If you're in plan to buy a house, buy it now, lock in your rate, get pre-approved, not pre-qualified, pre-approved, and make sure that you are communicating with who you're working
And
with.
if you're selling a property, you're thinking about selling a property, you need to sell it now.
Correct.
You need to sell it now. You need to get it. You need to get it moved, because when interest rates go up, the market's going to cool.
You have less buyers for those properties.
Hey, Carl, thank you again. Thank you
Mike.
again for being here. How can
my
people
pleasure.
contact you?
They can get me with American Capital Home Loans.
Right.
And my number at the office is 760
Right.
975 0255. That's my office phone.
Say it again.
760-975-0255.
Thanks
We have
again,
an
Carl.
office in Escondido and Carlsbad.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate
All right.
it. Hey, be sure to stay with us. We'll have Patty Flores and Chris West from our Keller Williams office joining us to talk about the latest in real estate and why, and our Keller Williams office and how it's so special in Escondido. This is the real estate zone. All the information you need in today's market, airing every Saturday afternoon at 8 on Financial News and Talk, AM 1450, KFSD.